Hey guys, sorry about the delays, a couple of issues, but Houseparty5v5 Premier League, Game 1, Team 7 versus the Lucker Dogs. We have Team 7 on blue side, Lucker Dogs on red side. Deck Club Ace here, and joining me tonight is Mr. Stein.
How are we doing today, Deck?
Doing okay after a little bit of a hectic start.
I mean, I think we got it eventually sorted out. Don't have all of the graphics for today, but we're gonna kind of do our best. This week, the schedule has changed 6 or 7 times already, but we're gonna still get going and get you some great games coming out. Some Azir, Thresh, and Talon bans starting off the game.
Yeah, I mean, early Azir bans, especially because of how strong he is right now, he's very hard to counter if you can at least play him marginally well. There's a few counters, but not that many.
I think the Aurelia ban kind of would favor the Azir pick if Azir wasn't already banned, possibly going to SW in the mid lane. If not, Optic Waffles, who is who is an Aurelia main and plays a lot of Aurelia in solo queue. That being said, that Talon ban is definitely marked against SW, who has a very, very strong Talon.
Oh yeah, like, SW told me, and we talked about this last time, SW told me that he's going to probably be playing a lot more Talon, if he can, because he feels the Talon is really good right now. And I totally agree. I think Talon is one of the assassin mid laners who hasn't been nerfed recently, and has only been kind of buffed by a lot of the items that are coming in. So, but we see the first pick Sivir, though.
Pretty safe pick overall. Helps a lot of team with a lot of utility, even if that Sivir gets shut down in lane. Able to kind of help out with a lot of different team comps. Wondering what they're going to look to for both sides for the jungle. The Shyvana is banned out. Shyvana is definitely probably the strongest of our jungle. The second one I would argue with is Kayle. And we haven't really seen too much Kayle in the Premier League, but it'd be really interesting to see if either of these sides brought it out.
Seeing that Tom Kench hovered, I'm a little excited. No, okay.
They might just be hovering that to troll you. I think Tom Kench is good for specific team comps, but most of the team comps rely on running at you with something large in Tom Kench's mouth. And Sivir is both a helping and a hindrance to that. Playing against Sivir as Tom Kench is kind of annoying because that movement speed is not something you're able to chase down very easily. That being said, the Ryze and the Nautilus both very strong picks. A lot of lockdown, a lot of damage coming out from Ryze. It seems really interesting that Ryze has been kind of indirectly buffed the last 3 patches, at least in damage. He no longer has the true perma-stun on the, or true perma-snare on the W, but still has a lot of CC he can add. And if anyone kind of sets him up, so specifically Nautilus right now, he can just do a ton of damage right now.
Well, I find it very interesting because we see that Nautilus actually got nerfed recently in terms of his laning presence, but because he is such a huge ball of crowd control and stats, it's pretty amazing that it took him this long to be used as a support, just because his passive is CC, his hook is CC, his ult is incredibly strong CC, and he has a built-in shield and does a whole bunch of base damage. So with most team comps, you can just put a Nautilus in, and it just instantly becomes better.
Yeah, Nautilus, like even with the damage, the damage reduced on his E, I believe, he still has the pushing presence of it. It's on such a low cooldown that it doesn't really matter too much in the support lane. It was mainly focused so he couldn't be playing the top lane as much. I guess it kind of also hurt his jungle clear as well, but he wasn't being picked in those 2 roles. I think Riot's very happy with where he is as a support. But
well, the thing about his jungle clear is that he doesn't even max his E. He maxes his W in the jungle. Because of the...
It actually depends on the jungle.
Well, that is
true.
true.
I have a friend who mains it. Usually you get a second point in the W, so you're able to be healthy, but you need the E to kind of clear quickly. But we see the Braum coming out from Minecraft as a reactionary pick to the Nautilus, as well as the Gnar coming out for Optic Waffles. I think Gnar is still very strong this patch. He's kind of an interesting matchup against Ryze. That is something that can be very heavily tilted with a gank, both being able to kind of bully the others out. And I think Ryze should win that 1v1 if it goes just purely into a farm lane, unless the Gnar focuses very heavily on MR, and then it again just becomes a farm lane where both become massive teamfight threats.
And the thing about Gnar is that he's very powerful even building only defensive items, so he might very well just go straight into a Spirit Visage, or even just building like a Banshee's Veil or something would function very well for him. But we're seeing the Rek'Sai and the Callista as well, and Callista, kind of, we're not entirely sure how badly the nerfs hit her. They are actually something you can feel. The way that her E change made people, as we talked about in the minor league previously, the Ballista build, where instead of maxing Rend like you previously would, instead you build for more damage first and you max the Pierce. And I like that build a lot more because it makes your trades a little bit more tricky. Because of the way that Pierce works, you build up stacks on a target, and then you throw your Pierce, and if you kill the target, the Pierce continues going and brings all the spears from that target to the next one. So if you stack some onto a minion, and you pierce the minion into a champion, and then rend immediately, they take a whole bunch of damage instantly.
And even so, just the base damage on the Q is a ton, and that hasn't been touched at all. And a lot of people still used to max the Q. So we see the last pick coming out for Team 7 is the Varus, who I really don't like picking that into SW's Ahri. It's a very immobile champion who can be punished very easily, especially if just Kayle walks up at level 6 and just ults the Ahri and lets her do all of the work diving the Varus. There's very little that can really be done on that side. I mean, you have to hit one of the hardest skill shots in the game to kind of shut him down there, but no matter what, there's a lot of CC, a lot of kind of protection coming out for the three threat line coming out for Team 7, and Lucker Dogs is looking to really run you down and have the Gnar Braum initiation, possibly getting picks with Ahri, and a lot of mobility coming out between Ahri, Sivir, and the Kayle.
Well, but if you look into the rest of the pick, though, he was last pick, and he picked it into a Kayle jungle, and I actually think, in reference to that, it's actually a good pick because he can take the cleanse, and then the only CC that actually matters in a gank against him is the charm, and he can remove that instantaneously. So as long as he stays back and farms and doesn't let SW kill him, he has wave clear that is comparable, if not better, than SW's early game. And I don't know, it's a situation where I don't know if it's a bad pick, and I don't know if it's a good pick. It just seems like it's an okay pick. But maybe it's something he's comfortable on against Ahri.
But especially having like kind of any champion open, I would have liked to see a lot different of a pick versus Ahri. Because again, it is that skill matchup in that I don't want to be assassinated lane. The cleanse is definitely going to help with that. But his poke is a lot shut down by Mycroft on that Braum. Like this is very much an anti-poke comp coming out for Team 7 Lucker Dogs. And
oh, definitely.
Then picking a mobile poke mid lane just makes it. I don't know. It just feels questionable to me.
I think they're going for a kind of like disorientation team fight in that they have the Rise for picking, they have Nautilus for picking. Rek'Sai hasn't changed. She's still really good at initiating and doing a whole bunch of damage, despite not really building all that much damage. So
hey, wake up.
I don't know. I think that probably the thing that will catch them off guard will be the Kayle jungle. We did talk about it briefly before, about how we feel that with the Devourer, it is actually really strong. Sated Devourer on Kayle is ridiculous. It is frankly ridiculous how much damage you can put out really fast, because you get it sated, and then when your buff is up and you're auto-attacking them, you do bonus damage to them and everyone around them so fast.
And I think it's especially a good pick. Though there is a lot of CC and a lot of lockdown, there are no real stuns. I mean, you have the knockout from the Rek'Sai, you have the knockout from the Nautilus ult, but you don't have any way to stop Kayle from auto-attacking. So as long as Kayle's in auto-attack range, which is extended quite a bit by that E, she's going to be able to get off a ton of damage in these fights, even if she just ults herself and kind of then gets blown up as soon as that ultimate goes away.
Now, the thing, though, is that this isn't your traditional Sivir comp. Normally when you have a Sivir comp, you want a team that wants to dive in. This doesn't really look like a team that wants to dive in. They just want to, like, kite you backwards and just siege elsewhere.
I mean, it feels like a team that definitely can run you down, though. It wants to have Arius the front line and diving in and probably trying to charm either the Rise or the Callista, I mean, or the Varus if his cleanse is down. But it's a team that can chase you down very easily. And yes, it's not the traditional, we're going to jump on you, we're going to dive you, but it's still a comp that can dive you. It's a very versatile comp coming out of Team Lucker Dogs here.
All right, well, Cass is going to take a brief break while we wait in the load screen, and catch you in a bit.
Vengeance is at hand.
Alright, Houseparty5v5 Premier League, Game 1. We are Team 7 versus the Lucker Dogs. Team 7 on blue side, Lucker Dogs on the red side. I am, of course, your host, Deck Club Ace. Just Deck is fine. And joining me today is Mr. Stein.
Yeah, so we're in a really interesting game. Team Lucker Dogs versus Team 7 here. As we were kind of talking about before, we have a non-traditional Sivir comp versus a triple threat line coming out for Team 7 with the newly nerfed Callista. But here we're seeing a very exciting face check coming in level 1. A lot of damage coming out, especially in the Braum passive. Better Call Saul's down to just a couple hundred HP there. They're chasing, they're able to get first blood from the Braum there. Still chasing down. The cleanse is already blown from Topanga. Connor chases down, and that's another kill for High Let Me Jungle. It's a 2-0 start.
Wow.
Coming out for Team 7 Lucker Dogs. Why do you face check against a Braum?
You know, the funny thing here is that specific invade in the Premier League, I know you're not normally a caster in the Premier League, but that invade is called the SW invade because SW's team does that almost every single game. They invade from red side when they have it. They immediately invade into that tri-brush and try and catch you out at your Groms, or at your Krugs, or they try and catch you out at red.
But I don't really understand why you're trying to evade. Yes, you have the Nautilus, who's very strong level 1, but Callista, especially with the nerf on her auto attacks, does considerable less damage going in. And I mean, Varus is still okay. If he's able to get resets, he's able to do a lot, but level 1 Ryze is pretty weak. Level 1 Rek'Sai is okay, versus Kayle, who's in an AoE, and Braum, who is the king of level 1 fights.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that they decided to invade. I guess their assumption was that Twisted Damage ended up taking, believe he took the Ren first. It looks like, no, he took W first. I would assume that it would have been the Ren because then they could take all of their CC and they could just get a Ren kill. But they
mean, I think it's even more sad if you're getting caught out level 1 after taking W.
Yeah. I don't know. And already we're seeing it across the map though, the aggression now, because all the lanes have some minor advantage in some way.
I think it's really amazing. You have Summer is traded out in the mid lane. You still have the exhaust up for Mycroft there, and the ignite up for Saul. So the both supports holding on to one kind of summoner, and then the heal still up on Sivir. So she's able to be kind of
User left to
safe here. She's able to, I guess safe's the wrong word, but kind of be safer against the all-in coming out from this Nautilus Callista.
We do have a slight pause. Looks like there might be a little bit of a network issue with somebody. Yeah, I like that they managed to that Team 7 managed to not use their two very strong summoners bot lane, because since they forced so much out of the Lucker Dogs, that means that they have the opportunity to dictate this lane, and they already have a very slight advantage. They came in with a little bit more XP from the kills. They came in with a little bit of extra gold as well. They didn't spend it, but they do have it there, so they'll be able to just do a little bit more.
Well, Mycroft was able to spend it, so he has the Ruby Crystal in lane, but other than that, yes. The other thing to note, kind of, was the bot lane, it was donated the Frog coming out, and Diabology started on the red buff by himself. So they were able to kind of equalize that EXP lead coming out, but again, the early gold going over is definitely going to be felt as soon as these teams are able to get a purchase, able to get a buy-in, which probably will be happening in another minute and a half to 2 minute mark if Sivir goes back for the pickaxe.
I mean, just quickly looking at the gold, though, Optic Pancakes and Twisted Damage are even on gold right now, roughly. They're... because Twisted Damage got the Gromp kill.
Yeah,
harass.
and that'll be huge, yeah. A little bit of harass straight out by both lanes. I don't really see either side being able to fully engage, because Better Call Saul is so low right now. If he does kind of hard engage, Sivir's able to block at least one part of the 50 parts of his CC, and Brock will quickly be able to turn around that lane. They might be waiting up for... Oh, but yeah, we do see
maybe a gank from behind. Rek'Sai popping in.
Solid gank. Special does not go off. The heal does, but that's still going to be a kill over to Better Call Saul, who has the Ignite Still. A good early gank from Diabology, a little bit of lack of vision control coming out on both sides while they're still shoved up. So questionable decision from Mycroft and Pancakes why they're still in that kind of position.
I mean, they did not have a ward for the river at the time. They did ward the Tri-Brush, but they couldn't turn around fast enough. They realized they were too far up. Rek'Sai just came down from an area where they had no vision, and neither of them had flash. Unfortunately, it's an early game Sivir. She dies really fast, so because she didn't manage to get that initial shield up in time to interrupt the knockup, instead she just dies.
Yeah, an early gank coming out. The cleanse is burned, but I think with the ignite, if she's able to just chase for one more auto attack, does not get it, and Shipanga does live with just just under 100 HP there. A good early gank from High Level Jungle. Kayle, not really known for her early ganking ability, does have the Q slow, and usually she has red buff, she's able to chase down a longer lane, but not really able to impact the mid lane usually, but able to blow the summoner out of Shipanga, which is going to definitely give that lane over in favor to SW as soon as he hits 6.
Oh yeah, I really like being able to gank and get that smite, or not that smite, get that the cleanse. They did use the smite though for a slow, but getting that early cleanse against something that is immobile, especially, is just going to make it so that the early fight will be very strong. Pancakes taking a little bit more damage than he probably wants to take from a Callista. Twist damage, not quite getting that Ren reset.
Interesting enough that Pancakes doesn't buy anything on his first back, not even boots or any other components. I'm guessing he's saving up to try to get the BF sword back. Sivir definitely is in favor of the short trades in that lane when she's able to get wave control and has that BF sword, but up until she has that BF sword, this lane is definitely in the favor of the Callista and Nautilus, even with Callista being so heavily nerfed.
Yeah, and I think the main reason that he is deciding to hold off on buying anything is because he does have superior wave clear right now. His Q is much stronger at clearing waves than Twisted Damage. Twisted Damage is not going to be able to do much until he gets a little bit of AD and maybe a Runons to clear waves. So trading will definitely be stronger, and Pancakes doesn't want to trade. Pancakes just wants to farm, because if Pancakes farms, his long-range harass is way better than Twisted Damage.
But that was quite a bit of harassing of Twisted Damage from that Q passing on the E-Ren stacks. Now, Twisted Damage is actually maxing the E in this lane right now. We had talked about the potential P max coming out during Champ Select, but still goes with the traditional Callista E max. It'll be really interesting to see how well that translates, especially with the percent AD knocked off of her damage early on. Another pause coming out for the side of Team Lucker Dogs. It seems like someone has disconnected. It's not the same P break we had in the first time, but they're taking a brief pause. And right now, how do you think the only lane we haven't watched so far, the top lane, is going right now? Okay.
Well, just a glance at it, I think it's actually going very heavily into Waffle's favor, and I think that that's very much from the early fight, because while we talked about the bot lane and Twisted Damage and Better Call Saul were able to get that Gromp, Weminus wasn't as lucky. He couldn't go and solo a camp, because early game, Ryze can't really solo a camp very fast. So he was behind on a little bit of gold, he was behind on XP, and Optic Waffles opted to get that first item, Hex Drinker, and that's really good against Ryze, especially when you're long ranged and you can do a whole bunch of damage.
Yeah, we do need to highlight that Ryze is maxing Q again in this lane. That's kind of was changed after the W permanent snare was removed. The Q has become the traditional one because it allows you to get that shield up quicker, push waves a lot easier, and do a lot more damage in your extended trades. But the Hex Drinker really shuts that down. Hex Drinker makes that a lot safer, and it gives Optic Waffles the necessary AD to kind of bully Womaness out of the lane until he has his Catalyst at least.
Yeah, and just looking at the side-by-side comparisons of everything right now, we see in jungle, High Let Me Jungle is just barely ahead of Diabology. Diabology did manage to get a successful gank off, but because of the First Blood gold that went straight to High Let Me Jungle, and because he got the kill and didn't get an assist off of his, and has an extra assist, he's going to get to his Devourer relatively quickly, and I really want to see a little bit more vision control heading towards bot side as they build this Devourer, because the most important part about having a Devourer jungle is having the neutral objective control.
Yeah, I really like Diabology's position right now, though. Especially, you have... the only downside I see is Optic Waffles able to be potential to collapse on High Let Me Jungle a lot easier, but you have him trying to invade in on High Let Me Jungle's jungle right now. He has his E up, so he's able to get out, but he's invading in to get a little bit of ward control. He has the 2 wards down, probably to get control of that topside jungle, to give Womaness a little bit more room to work. We're back in the game, and they do kind of see each other and back off, but a little bit of extra vision. Both junglers kind of picking each other out, letting the rest of their team know that this is where they are, but the early wards coming up for Diabology, trying to control High Let Me Jungle, which I know at least in the minor league a lot of junglers don't do. If they get any sort of lead, the teamfight junglers are always going to win, because the Rek'Sai picks, the Gragas picks, don't really transition into ward control into the enemy jungles.
I mean, it all comes down to the jungler themselves, because if they recognize, particularly if you're playing a Gragas, and we do see this occasionally in some of the Premier games, if a Gragas isn't far enough ahead, they will instead opt to build a Sightstone, and that will give them the vision control that they need for a while, and then they can also get a Sweeper, which can protect their own jungle, and which can give them a little bit more control. Now, we were talking earlier about the Varus mid versus the Ahri, and we weren't too sure about it, but one thing to remember about Varus is he will build a Manamune almost guaranteed every time. It is the strongest item that you can build on him in mid lane. And Ahri has to build either a Morellonomicon or an Athene's Holy Grail if she wants mana regen. There are alternatives, but those are just the only two that you actually want to build as a mid laner. And really, neither of those is a good pick against a Varus. Like, Morellonomicon is the obvious better pick, and a Grail would give you a little bit more power, but looks like we might see a gank coming in from Diabology.
I was really hoping Waffles would flash that earlier to not kind of get in trouble. He's going to have to burn it, and Webinuff, he's able to... Oh, Diabology actually ends up getting the kill thanks to Red Buff, but good gank from Diabology and Webinuff. Optic Waffles not immediately recognizing the gank, tries to jump out a little bit later, allows Diabology to knock him up, and Ryze to come in with the double snare, even through the Hex Drinker, get that kill. So a very nice gank from Diabology and Womanos. Good kind of combination between them. Good pink control coming up from Womanos, especially in that top lane, and controlling vision. Diabology's done very well with vision control this game, along with the rest of Team 7. And I think that's what's kind of gotten them back in this game already.
Yeah, and as much as I'm sure that they would have wanted to give that kill straight over to Weminus to kind of snowball him a little bit harder, it just wasn't going to happen. The Hex Drinker was going to absorb too much damage, and he was just going to die to the tower if he got hit by another auto attack. So, it does kind of suck that you couldn't get him to kill, but giving Rek'Sai a kill isn't a big deal. That's actually like really good for their team because it means that he got to get his Warrior Enchant on his back. Which does mean that he might have kind of caught up.
Yeah, he actually, though he's 12 CS down, he is kind of tied in items minus the boots, but he does have the wards. He has also already opted for an early sweeper to get further control of them. Probably looking to kind of clear out some bot side. But we have Optic Waffles alling in Weminus here. He does get the ultimate down. He's able to get the chase. It would be interesting to see if he's able to clean up this kill. We see Rek'Sai ulting in. Optic Waffles does clean up, does not get the true solo kill. High Lemmy Jungle is there to support him, but a little bit of slowdown, and Diabology is able to kind of creep away from turret, maybe pick up the rest of the XP. They might look to dive him here. They do have Kale ultimate if she pushes up, and Ahri's collapsing here. Yeah, that's a pretty clean dive. Using the Ahri and the Gnar. Wondering what Diabology is still doing there without Flash, especially because you saw Ahri walking down on the pink ward, and he still is moving forward to try to clear that wave.
Yeah, I think that he just assumed that if they dove him, he'd be able to knock them up.
But even if you knock him up, you just kill whoever has the aggro of the turret, and you have enough time to kill a Warrior Rek'Sai. Rek'Sai is still pretty squishy overall, but I don't know. Questionable decision from Diabolic. He's playing well the rest of the game.
So we're seeing a little bit of movement from Lucker Dogs down towards Drag. There are a lot of pings coming out from Team 7, though. They really don't want to give this Drag over, but it looks like they're going to have to.
Yeah, just the back timing's not lining up. Optic Waffles does keep perspective now, but they're going to have to walk down. I think they kind of knew this was coming. At least there wasn't the transition coming out after they took that top turret. They probably overstayed a little bit. Would have liked to see Minecraft or Optic Pancakes going over and putting a ward and trying to get some control. So you're able to at least contest them walking down. It's a little bit too late to contest once they're already in the pit as a group, but either way, it worked out pretty well for them. Team 7 does get the dragon. Team Lucker Dogs gets the top turret, Team 7 gets the dragon, and we're up to about a 2k gold lead. Lucker Dogs.
Yeah, and I think if it was anything but a Devourer jungle, that it would have been good.
Oh, but we have a flash taunt in the mid lane. Ahri is able to chase this down, and this is kind of what I was saying. If you get Ahri the tail ult, she's able to dive pretty freely onto this Varus, even through both summoners. A good combination there, a great dive, and that's another good kill for SW in squad.
Yeah, a whole bunch of really good dives just happening left and right. Oh no, Better Call Saul, you screwed up. Oh, never mind. Save bunches.
Yeah, but that's what Callista's for. Even though she's nerfed, she's still able to kind of take it back. I guess Callista going all in, trying to get the Ren down on Kale. Kale's able to live, but I guess with the chase potential, Weaponos is probably going to be able to pick up this kill on Optic Waffles. And yeah, it's an extended 2-for-1, but a turret still going over to Team Lucker Dogs.
So, normally, I would say, okay, getting top tower for the first early dragon, that's a fine trade, because top tower is actually really hard to get. It's out of the way. Diabology, you are in the wrong spot.
Yeah, I would have, with how aggressive Diabology is being, Minecraft is going to chase him down, able to get the kill there. With how aggressive Diabology is being, I would have loved to see some more HP built on him here, but does not get it. Ends up being another 2-for-1 trade. The Sivir ult finally being used, and they're able to chase it down. There's so much mobility on this Team Lucker Dogs comp, and though you highlighted earlier in Champ Select that it's not a true Sivir comp, it still is able to make use of that very well to dive the mobile carries and a Callista coming out for Team 7.
Oh yeah, when I say it's not your traditional Sivir comp, standard Sivir comp, you tend to have a whole bunch of people that you want just standing on top of people and doing a whole bunch of damage. Normally you have, like, you know, a Maokai, you have, like, some kind of assassin or something, and Optic Waffles jumping on Shpenga by himself, just doing so much damage, but taking a whole bunch more. SW...
But he's still... SW's able to clean him up pretty safely there.
Hello, SW.
SW's being 2-0-6. They're doing a great job to play through this Ahri pick, I think. And again, I'm highlighting the mobile pick of Varus being that last pick. He's 0-3 right now. I really just dislike that as a last pick versus a lot of other poke mages who are able to deal with the utility, or maybe just someone who's faster and able to move overall. I know Shipanga plays a lot of casters, and I don't see one that's so immobile, so reliant on flash as Varus being a good pick here.
I think if I had a decision in Champ Select early, I think a better option might have been a Ziggs if you wanted something that was immobile, because yes, you are still immobile, but you have good wave clear. You have a nice long-range initiate so that you don't have to be close to the team fight to do damage. Optic Pancakes, oh, you were in the wrong spot, man.
The Assassin Callista play from Twisted Damage, hiding in the bush and waiting for the team. That being said, you have Team Luckerdogs looking to collapse on this, but Team 7 is right behind him. Optic Waffles is not channeling the teleport right now. They're able to be there with the entire team, but trying to back off here. But it'll be interesting to see. The Ren does slow her down, but I think they'll be able to get out.
There's no tower there.
Oh, but there is the knockup, followed by the secondary knockup from the Nautilus. That's the only two ways to really stop this high and let me jump from auto attack. He still does a ton of damage. He doesn't even have his Devourer finish. He's at 17 stacks, by the way, for those watching at home.
Yeah, and meanwhile, we have, on top side, Optic Waffles decided he didn't want to teleport in. Probably the best option there for him, because there's not really much that he could do if he teleported in. He was close to going Mega, but there wasn't really a good spot for him to teleport to and then immediately dive in. So instead he's going to opt to get a little bit more damage on this top turret and possibly get it? No, it looks like Weminus will be there before then.
Yeah.
But a good 2/3 of the tower's health and damage is okay, I guess. They traded, what was it? One
They
for
traded
two?
just one for... yes, extended
Because,
150 with Optic
right,
Pancakes
because
going
Sivir
down,
got
but-
assassinated.
Yeah, Sivir got Callisted. But yeah, really interesting. I think if you're Team 7 here, you don't want to accelerate the game. You want to slow it down a little bit. Yes, you have Rek'Sai who's going to fall off, but you do have the double tier stackers in the Rise and the Varus, who really get a huge spike when both of those items are completed. And up until that point, you're kind of relying on the Callista to get you through the mid game here. And yes, Callista is 202 and can do very well in a fight, but not particularly in fights if you blow all your CC to engage. They have to use their CC to stop the mobile threats of the Luckerdogs, and if they use them all moving forward, then it's really hard for this Callista to move back safely, especially with the nerf to her passive as she hops backwards.
Right, and the thing about their team fights right now, Luckerdogs wants Callista to be alive for as long as possible. But chances are, Shpanga is going to be blown up as quickly as they can, because Shpanga is going to put a whole bunch of damage out, and he's actually building just straight damage. Twisted Damage is harder to catch, and is trying to build for the high DPS build, where you just try and get as many Ren stacks in as possible, and then you yank and try and kill people with it. And that works. We are seeing the dragon. There's a decent amount of vision, but Weminus being caught out by a charm.
Oh, a nice Optic Waffles there. Full target. Kale does have... Kale about to finish the Devourer there, but they're able to lock down a beautiful combo from Mycroft. A double kill going over to Kale in the extended fight there. Great fight from Luckerdogs there, doing a fantastic job with controlling the vision, forcing them into a pit, using that Ahri to kind of create a choke, forcing Weminus in, and then having Optic Waffles with a huge ultimate to catch two targets there.
I mean, that was something that Team 7 really wanted. They wanted to be able to get the dragon, because High Let Me Jungle needs the stacks. He's at 29 stacks. One more, and that's a huge power spike. That is comparable, if not better, than having a fully stacked tier item. Because for Kale, that's a huge increase to her DPS.
You would say it doubles it.
It does not quite double it. It increases it by about 50%.
Better Call Saul uses the ultimate on the Optic Waffles here. Only doesn't even get the Hex Drinker S. It's already down. But questionable call from Better Call Saul. I'm guessing his team is feeling the burden of playmaking right now, as Luckerdogs definitely has the gold, he definitely has control here, but I don't think you need to really and truly force these fights right now. I think you can kind of wait back and poke and look for catches on the Kale, look for catches on the Sivir, who you've already caught in transit once, and try to get a kill and then use an objective that way. If you're just grouping and staying in a lane and forcing these fights against the Sivir comp, you're gonna be caught out and you're gonna be chased down and you're gonna be killed.
Yeah, I think that Lucker Dogs really needs to focus on what they currently are geared towards. They have so much potential vision control. They have the 2 sweepers. They have 2 sight stones. All they need to do is just have the superior ward control, rotate around some, and try and catch people out whenever they're going. And they have a team comp that's really good at catching people. Because once somebody gets caught, they have so many ways of locking you down that there's not really much that you can do. I mean, you can attempt to flash, but they have Rise Snare, they have a knockup from Rek'Sai, they have 3 forms of CC from Nautilus, and then they also have Varsol.
And then you probably have another couple Rise Snares in there as well.
Oh yeah, and then you weave in, 3 or 4 more Rise Snares in there somewhere.
Yeah, it is especially interesting because the Gnar isn't building Tenacity Boots. You don't have Mycroft going Tenacity Boots. You don't, I'm guessing High Let Me Jungle does not go to Tenacity Boots. Instead goes to the attack speed boots with Alacrity, which is targets down more. And if someone gets locked down, they're probably going to be dead. Even this Gnar, if you have 3 people waiting in a bush, and you're able to catch them out, you're able to kill them very, very quickly.
Well, but think about building the Tenacity Boots, though, against a team like this. I mean, yes, sure, Tenacity Boots would be helpful against them, but the only person on their team that it would actually do anything to is Rise. And the Varsol, but Varsol is very hard to land, and it doesn't go off all that often.
And the auto-attack rock from Nautilus.
Right.
And the slow from his E.
Yeah,
I guess, yes. That
is
true, and you want to shut down the double AD damage here. But it's still a fact that no one on this team does currently have Tenacity.
Right. Chances are they're recognizing that it's less useful for them to have it. Optic Waffle's getting caught out, but jumping over.
Yeah, but when Better Call Saul moves forward, SW finds 2 juicy targets to close off there. Shebang is still able to live, which is... Oh, never mind. Goes down to Optic Waffle. High Let Me Jungle and Wimnos having a very nice 1v1 duel. Unfortunately, High Let Me Jungle's E goes down off cooldown. High Let Me Jungle is able to eventually get that kill done with the help from Mycroft.
We didn't really talk about this at all, because it didn't really come up during Champ Select, but let's talk about the Braum and Devourer jungle synergy. Because a Devourer jungler, especially one who builds a Runon's Hurricane, can proc Braum's passive that he applies to everybody super fast. Like, within 2 auto attacks, it's fully stacked. So, as we saw, he flashed over the wall, but he flashed while getting hit by that Devourer auto attack. And suddenly, he's stunned and has nowhere to go.
Yeah. An interesting call here. What if they're going straight to Baron? They can probably take it extremely quickly with High Let Me Jungle, and SW's probably going to clean up Better Call Saul if it's not for the person all there. But really interesting. I'm wondering if they're going to re-engage this fight. Yes, they definitely have the damage safely, but they're very low HP. Could be a chance for Team 10 to come back to the game. They're able to kill the Gnar. And Balti flashes in and then dies pretty much instantaneously because he does not CC High Let Me Jungle. And it turns out it's a 2-for-1. But yeah, I guess I just shouldn't question Lucky Dog's bush hiding ability.
You know, Diabology, you are not a tank right now. You probably should not be trying to dive into the middle of 3 or 4 carries.
Yeah, I mean, he's building towards that Aegis right now, but those and the HP on Sightstone are the only defensive stats he currently has.
And I think that was a good idea. I just don't think that the rest of his team was on the same board. They were busy killing Optic Waffles, and then they were busy with other things in their face. So they didn't really have a situation where they could collapse in, and I think if he had managed to get a really good knockup and managed to hold them in place long enough for Better Call Saul to be able to flash over a wall and maybe get in there, that would have been a whole different fight. But unfortunately that didn't happen. We're seeing a little bit of a bait here, maybe.
I think you have to kind of give the call to retreat back, especially after Better Call Saul is saved from that clear. A lot of damage coming up from SW, and before guys can even get to safety, High Let Me Jungle is just auto-attacking and destroying everything in this fight. He is absolutely massive. That's a triple kill going over to High Let Me Jungle here. And an overall 4-for-0. They're gonna get their second dragon in the game here, possibly move towards Baron. And the biggest thing was, Optic Waffles was not in that fight. It was a 4-for-0 in a 4v5.
And it's like we said, we talked about this. We talked about the Devourer power spike, and especially on Kayle, of all junglers, I believe that Kale might be one of the strongest targets for it. We know Shyvana is strong with it because Shyvana can get tanky. Shyvana does a bunch of damage. I'm just getting caught out, just probably, yep, dead way too fast. Optic Pancake's getting knocked up, but managing to barely skate away.
Just want to see how fast the passive. Yeah, okay.
It's
How
instantaneous.
fast the Rom procs the passive from my Lucky Jug was able to proc it, and it's about a quarter of a second. But yeah, really interesting Kalista not going for that QSS because she definitely needs one this game. But I think it's probably too little too late. This is a 1,200 gold lead for Team Lucker Dogs. They have firm control of this game, and every item you build on Kale from now on is just going to exponentially increase her damage, which is already just massive. SW as well, being 4-0 and 17, doing a fantastic job, being able to catch out a lot of fights and do just a ton of damage rushing in.
And we see
that
the funny thing here is that Highlight Me Jungle actually went for an early Lich Bane, and normally whenever you play a jungler like Kale in the jungle and you go for the Devour, you don't actually go for that. You go for like a Nashor's Tooth or something. But because of that, he's able to just waltz in and press one button, and suddenly he hits you for a huge stack of damage, and then his next hit hits you for another huge stack of damage.
Yeah, really interesting itemization choices. Usually with the Kale jungle, you see kind of a Wit's End into a Nashor's build, but instead you have one slightly less focused on auto attacks. I mean, it's still very focused on auto attacks with the Devour, Ruans, and Alacrity attack speed boots. Okay.
All right.
Interesting flash from Better Call Saul, and interesting ultimate from Shyvana. Wondering if that's their protest towards the way the game is going currently. But back to what I was saying, an interesting path from Highlight Me Jungle, but it's still working because it's a Devourer Kale when there's no one else on Team 7 who's able to chase her down and kind of lock her up right now.
Optic Waffles is going Mega, but there's not really anything for him to get. He's trying to taunt them into chasing him, but I don't think they're going to. Oh, yes they did.
The next list ultimate saves Better Call Saul again. But nothing's able to pull this list out.
A four-man knockup.
Four-man knockup. This is a great play. Optic Pancakes just now joining the fight. Another 4 for Zero that ends in another multi-kill for Kale. This time being the double kill overall. But yeah, this game is pretty over. There's so much damage coming out from this triple damage comp. Well, I guess even a quadra damage comp. No, it still does a ton of damage. But this 3.5 damage comp, I'll call it, from Team Lucker Dogs.
Now, the thing about talking about the game, not necessarily this game, but looking towards the future of the games for these teams, Team 7 currently was actually near the bottom half of the bracket. The bottom half of the upper bracket, my bad. And this will push them another step closer to getting that first slot. Right now, that's currently held by White Lightning, who is undefeated, actually, I believe, in all of their current games. But if we see perhaps Team 7 being able to pull this style off on other teams, maybe we'll see some more bans for this. Where does Lucker Dogs go for this? Do they try and focus on a team comp that does not revolve around the Kalista now? I don't think it's the Kalista's fault, but definitely some combination of the Kalista and the Varus just isn't working for them in this comp.
I think a lot of it is Kalista, just this patch.
Right.
Obviously a 2-0 Kalista is going to have an impact, but you see someone who's getting fed in lane, who is able to get that CS lead, who's able to come down, even from a disadvantage coming out from that first blood situation, but not able to really use it, and is not being the same threat in team fights, not being as safe as she was from nerfs previously, and just not having the same amount of damage. I mean, I guess Kalista is still sort of a mid-game hyper carry in the regard that she's very hard if she's unable to be locked down in a team fight, but it'll be really interesting to see where Kalista goes as a champion from here out. So I think Urgot is like a good analogy for what they did to her. Urgot, when he received his first round of nerf, was actually removed as the champion. Very similarly to how SW removed Shyvana from the map in that regard. But yeah, a Baron over to SW is there's SW's first death of the game, apparently taking on a few too many people in that final push. But I don't think there's too much to stop Mycroft, Pancakes, Waffles, and Jungle from just pushing into the end of the game, especially with the 2 inhibitors down.
And I think probably we will see a little bit less of the more bruiser assassin Rek'Sai that we've seen lately. With the rise of Devourer junglers and seeing Cinderhulk is still very strong. So I think it's going to come down to, are you playing a Cinderhulk jungler or are you playing a Devourer jungler? Because while I do think Rek'Sai can still have a whole lot of fighting potential, I don't think that having a power spike that's kind of like stretched across a game is as good as having a power spike that comes at a little bit mid-game and is suddenly way stronger. But we will see. That's all for this game. Congratulations to Team 7. Fantastic game overall, showing off a lot of the strengths of this very different, as we said, Silver Comp. We will be taking a short break. We will try and get the next game rolling as quickly as we can. There might be a delay, so bear with us.
User joined your channel.
Be all fair?